Welcome in, everyone. Feel free to make yourself at home as best as you can. We are currently getting ready to get started here. I've got everyone muted. Just want to kind of let everybody know that we've got everybody muted ahead of time. So that's for courtesy for our speakers. So just want to make everyone aware of that. We do have everyone muted. I want to welcome everybody that just joined in. We've got a couple of folks still coming in. Just want to make sure everyone's aware that we will be recording this today. So for anybody that needs to have access to any contact information for our speakers as well as our agency, just want to let everybody know that we will have access to that if you will just email us at the end, and we can supply that back to you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you will, I'm going to make sure everybody's muted now. So out of courtesy for our speakers, because they do have we have to be cognizant of their time to make sure that we don't go over the time that they've donated to us today. So just want to make sure that everyone's aware. We're going to mute everybody until they get done with their presentation, and then we'll open it up for a Q&A session. And then that will give that time. We will unmute everybody so that everybody can ask. But please be mindful that we do have several individuals in this call, so try your best not to talk over each other when it comes time to answer questions. So I'm hoping that everyone, let me make sure everyone can still see that. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thanks everyone for being here at our first ever coffee break that we've decided to put in place. What better time than now when everyone seems to be stuck at home and sheltering in place, hopefully. So we hope that this is beneficial for you all. This is a collaborative effort between a couple of M4A programs in Alabaster, the Alabama Cares program, and our new Panda Project. Do want to make a disclaimer to start with. Participation in this online group session is completely voluntary. Individuals who choose to participate in this group acknowledge and agree that they are not required to share any personal information with the group, but may voluntarily share aspects of their protected health information with the group. Protected health information is specifically defined in the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, also known as HIPAA. This includes but is not limited to your name, address, and specific medical conditions. Should you decide to voluntarily share protected information about yourself or your condition, you're responsible for that decision, and M4A is not responsible for the disclosure or any redisclosures that may occur as a result. Additionally, any of the suggestions or recommendations that are presented during this meeting are not meant to diagnose nor treat disease. This meeting is intended for educational purposes only. Please consult with your medical doctor for any concerns regarding diagnosis and/or treatment. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our Panda Project Director, Ms. Jennifer Fuller, who is going to introduce our speakers today.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on our call. As Jeremy said, I am the project director for the Panda Project, which stands for Providing Alzheimer's and Dementia Assistance. And we are a brand new program that is funded through a grant from ACL. And I just want to introduce Greg Evans, who is a licensed counselor with Down to Earth Counseling, and just turn it over to Greg.
Panelist today. It's Dr. Leslie Shew. She is with Be Well Nashville. She's a certified holistic wellness coach. She has her PhD in naturopathic healing. She's been practicing in Nashville for 25 years or so. And she and I are collaborating, doing some of these talks together, and also we're both doing microcurrent neurofeedback together, she in Nashville and I in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And so we'll share that as part of what we share with y'all today. So thanks for having us. I will jump in first and just talk a little bit about, just had a few themes we wanted to touch on. One, when probably first and foremost, when we're talking to caregivers of many of you are caregivers for family members. That means you're 24/7. it's easy to get burned out. It's easy to lose yourself in the process of trying to take really good care of the people you love. And so part of dealing with anxiety and stress in times like these, it would be going over some of the basics first, which I would say is making sure that you're setting boundaries. You can only remain a caregiver for others if you are taking care of yourselves. So I'll bring that back around in Q&A time if we have time to talk about some of these issues. But first thing that I would stress is that you guys have to find ways to take care of yourself, to be selfish, to stop being a caregiver, maybe one day a week, maybe several afternoons or evenings a week where you are not productive and you're not taking responsibility for anybody else and you're just doing you time. So reevaluating those boundaries, keep that up, and I'll pass off to Dr. Shew now.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome. And thanks, Greg, for your great information. And I thought I would just talk a little bit just about mainly kind of how to reduce your anxiety and stress in the present moment. I know obviously these are unprecedented times and we are facing things that we've never had to face before. And then to have that added challenge, being caregivers full time, and already the stress that you are under and experiencing, and maybe even those you're caring for, some of the anxiety and stress that they're experiencing can really take a toll on us mentally and physically. And I just wanted to mention kind of some things that I'm doing, things I'm working with my clients to doing just really for this moment in time, and how we can kind of help to turn down that fight or flight that many of us are experiencing. And one of those, the main one that I like to talk about, is just remembering to breathe. Because when we are anxious and afraid, we tend to not take in deep breaths. And this is even something you can help maybe with the parents or whoever that you're taking care of. That's something that they can even do, is just teaching them to remember to take in deep breaths. And you can even do things where you practice that, like strengthening the lungs, breathing in for 5 counts, breathing out for 5 counts, doing this 2 or 3 times a day, several times, just to really help, first of all, for you to remember to take those deep breaths and to fill your lungs with oxygen, and also to kind of exercise the lungs so that they're good and strong. And then kind of the obvious thing is to avoid watching the news. And I know that we all want to stay informed, but trying to keep that to a minimum. And because what we think about is where our energy goes. What we focus on is where our energy goes. And so if we want to have peace and calm in the midst of the storm, then we focus on those things that bring us peace and calm instead of focusing on the things that are creating fear, because fear is our biggest trigger for imbalance in the body. And then finding things that make you laugh, and this is even something you can do at home with those that you're taking care of. Finding maybe old movies that they love or that you love, things that comedies, or back in the day when I was growing up, we used to sit around, and I don't even know if you can find this anymore, but my granddad's favorite thing was this radio show called Lum and Abner, and it was just a funny show. We would sit around the radio and listen to that, but just finding things that you can do together to create laughter, because laughter is something that will actually boost the immune system, because it releases all these wonderful endorphins in our brain, and helps us to focus on what we want, which is joy and happiness. And then playing music, and maybe you already do this, but keeping music playing that's calming to you, uplifting, to keep that playing in the house, because that is something, even if it's music, I like to play things that I like to sing along to, or that kind of make me want to move my body, because those, once again, helps a healthy distraction for the brain. And we know that music and the power of music, we know, is something that plays a big role in boosting our immune system as well. And then there are things that you can do as far as health-wise, is staying hydrated, making sure that you're taking care of yourself physically, and being hydrated is very crucial right now for all of us. We want to keep our bodies well-oiled machines, so to speak. So making sure you're getting plenty of hydration. I always recommend maybe adding some fresh lemon there, because that helps our bodies to stay pH balanced and alkaline, and so it's really good for our health. And then working on making sure you're getting plenty of sleep, which I know is difficult right now for many of us, whether that's using some calming music to sleep to, meditations. There are meditations that I do that help me to calm my brain. There's a great free app that you can get on your phone called Insight Timer, and there's one called Headspace. Those are just free apps you can download, and you can choose 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes or more. And just, if you can't sleep, that's always a great thing to turn on. I know the Insight Timer has one specifically for sleep that you can use to help you kind of calm your brain and go to sleep. And then I'm not going to really get into, I am an herbologist and I use lots of different things, but I'll mention the things that you probably may already have at home, or things you've heard of, very common things like chamomile tea, which chamomile is very calming and relaxing, and drinking that before you go to bed, or maybe during the day if you're really struggling with some anxiety, is making a hot tea. Lavender essential oils, many of us have those in our homes now. Those, you can diffuse those in the house. You can put them on the bottoms of your feet, and even those that you're taking care of can rub some of that on their pulse points to the bottoms of their feet to help relax them. Valerian root's a common antispasmodic that we use that also helps the calming the body, reducing anxiety, and it can help with sleep as well. So those are just common ones that you see probably in your grocery store or herbal vitamin shop that you can get that can really help you with that.
Shall I continue?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got a few other ideas, and y'all bear with us. Usually we have video, so it's this is a new challenge. Learning to appreciate radio people who are going only by sound. But this next thing I wanted to share with you is a little bit abstract, but bear with me, and I think it'll be worthwhile. When we think about anxiety, not just in the unique times that we're all facing right now, but just in general, what I talk to people about is discerning and becoming aware of the interplay between past, present, and future. Everybody, each of you is either hardwired or maybe socialized into having an orientation toward the past, and that's usually in the form of being particularly nostalgic, or in a more undesirable way, it would be those of you who tend to feel a lot of guilt and shame about things that have happened in your past. And then others of you are more oriented toward the future. Oftentimes those are entrepreneurs, the people who plan and dream and build. In a less desirable way, it's for those people who tend toward anxiety, which is framing the future in the context of fear and worry. And so under normal circumstances, I talk with people a lot about how the goal is to learn to live in the present. And we can do that in all kinds of ways, but some of the ones Dr. Shew just mentioned, mindfulness, meditation, prayer. We do these things, call a lot of the similar things by different names, but essentially that is using disciplined methods, including downloading some of these apps to help you be more aware and more tuned into your environment here and now. So you do things like listen to your own breathing. You listen to all the other sounds that you're hearing in the room or outside, wherever you are, and you identify those. You pay attention to the posture of your body. How are you sitting or in your chair right now? How do you feel the weight of your spine on the bottoms of your feet? Do you feel the weight near your toes, near your heels? Is the weight toward the inside or toward the outside or toward the center of the soles of your feet? Also imagine sensitizing yourself to, if all of you could have your feet flat on the ground right now as you're listening, and pay attention to how you can tell the surfaces between your feet and the earth. So maybe your feet maybe you have socks and tennis shoes on, and then the tennis shoes are resting on top of a thick carpet. Imagine how that would feel different for you than if you were barefooted with your feet on cold concrete floors. So becoming more mindful, more aware of those kinds of things can help you come from the future, bring yourself from that fearful worrying about the future back to the present, which is that's where we want to live. That's where we want to try to be. But, and I talked with Dr. Shew about this last week a little bit, about how in these really strange times, I'm sort of shifting that thinking about time a little bit, and adding what I just shared with you, adding to that this new dimension of remembering. That is, you experience the present differently and you imagine the future differently by moving intentionally into the past. And so an example that I've shared a few times is I woke up really early about a week ago and went outside, and we live on a big body of water, and it's just always amazing, the bird life, and just what a sanctuary this is. And some of y'all may relate to what I'm going to say, but there's this incredible calm and quiet during the night that is suddenly shattered by the songs of the birds and the movement of the squirrels, just as the sun starts to come up, and it's like the day is waking up. And so I sat there, and my eyes could only see darkness, and then slowly my eyes acclimated, and as the sun began to come up, I could see more and I could hear more. And that remembering took me back to times in the past when I have watched the sun come up, and there's a hopeful anticipation of knowing that because I've remembered seeing the sun come up many, many times in the past, I can trust, and I'd even dare to say that, use the word hope, that I will see the sun come up again today and tomorrow, which obviously is a thoughtful mindset to have when some of us are just immersing ourselves in frightful apocalyptic thinking about the future. So another thing that I would share with you is, and if you can imagine, I've got one of these water bottles, this stainless steel water bottle that's insulated. that I carry with me everywhere. And I think using rituals to help us contextualize where we are in our lives, especially in this crazy time, can be helpful. So an example I was going to share with you was with this water bottle. This is a water bottle with our logo, Brain Wellbeing. That's the microcurrent neurofeedback business that Leslie and I are both a part of. When I first bought some of these bottles, I took one for myself, and I had collected stickers that would help me, just by looking at this water bottle, walk through the history of the creation of this exciting new business. And so I'm looking at it as we speak, and started with Nashville because, I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but about a year ago, started dreaming about expanding my neurofeedback business to other cities. And so I have a Grammys new and pre-loved music sticker it's my favorite used record store, and it's in Nashville. And that's to remind me of my first trip to Nashville to start exploring, starting a new office there. And then I've got another sticker for an amazing knife shop called, I don't know how you pronounce it, Coutelier, Coutelier, in New Orleans and Nashville. And my oldest son is a knife maker, and I put that sticker there to connect my dreams of neurofeedback starting in Nashville, but then also moving to New Orleans one day. And then I have a couple stickers from Pensacola, Florida, and from a restaurant there called the North Drop on Pensacola Beach. And that's to take me back and remember that about 10 months ago, Dr. Wiley Taylor and I met with our wives in Pensacola for a weekend to talk about partnering with this business. And that was our first meal together. And we were it was almost like a first date, trying to figure out if we liked each other enough to become business partners. And the answer very soon became yes. But then the most recent sticker that I put on my water bottle is a big red circle with a white bee in the middle, and it stands for beets. And a friend of mine, when we moved into this crazy time of isolation and doing more Facebook and social media work instead of doing in-person sessions, I invested in, remember, I'm an old guy. I'm 52 years old, and I'm not a tech guy at all. Dr. Leslie is much better at adapting to the times. So a friend of mine said, hey, you need to get some of those Beats Bluetooth earphones so nobody can hear your conversations. And so that they came with that red sticker. And so that's now permanently on my water bottle to remind me of these times when I'm doing telehealth counseling sessions instead of in person. And so that's just an example of a way that I've employed ritual to bring past, present, and future together to put me in a state of hopefulness, of hopeful anticipation about what the future has. We'll keep playing tag. So Dr. Shew, I'll pass to you.
Yeah, I love all that you just said, Greg. I especially love what you're doing the water bottle. I think anything that we can do to help create a sense of, a ritual during this time, because it is all kind of crazy and unpredictable. And so finding things that comfort us, whatever that may be for you. And part of, our challenge is the anxiety. So typically, just so you understand how the body works, when we feel like we are in danger, our body goes into what we call fight or flight, which is the sympathetic nervous response in the body. And this is a normal response. It's designed to help us stay out of danger, and it releases things like adrenaline and cortisol, different hormones in the body. And so unfortunately, it's only designed for short periods of time. And when we stay in a long-term fight or flight response, then it can make things a little bit difficult on our bodies, our immune system, and our health, and our emotional state. And excessive amounts of cortisol can cause us to have a lot of fatigue or to gain weight around the belly, and blood sugar issues, those types of things. And so our goal during this time is to find ways to help the body to relax and to pull us back into our parasympathetic response, which is our rest and recover. And so a couple of things you can do for that. One really simple thing you can do, now this would require you to spend about 5 or 10 minutes alone. And those of you listening may be thinking, oh gosh, I wish I could have 5 or 10 minutes alone. I'm so busy. But hopefully maybe while the person you're taking care of is resting, is taking a nap, you can take that 5 or 10 minutes and instead of going and doing something else, or even, taking time to clean the kitchen, it's just take a few minutes for yourself. And if you find either a wall, or you can do this on a bed or a chair, basically you would lay down on the floor and then prop your feet straight up the wall, or you can prop them up like over a bed or a chair. You just want your legs to be higher than your heart. And as you lay there, you want to close your eyes and just focus on breathing, like I mentioned earlier. If you want to breathe in, maybe for 5 counts, breathe out for 5 counts, and just really take about 10 minutes. You can set a timer on your phone, but make sure you turn your phone off. But at least give yourself a good 10 minutes of laying there and just focusing on your breath. Not only is this going to help reduce the anxiety that you're feeling and help just bring you to that present moment, but it also helps to engage more the parasympathetic response in the body, hopefully turning down that fight or flight response that many of us are experiencing right now. That's just a simple thing that you can do. Also, just being aware of what you're thinking about and what you're focusing on. Anxiety is a result of our thoughts and beliefs and fear. So if you're feeling anxiety, then pay attention maybe to what you were thinking about prior to that. Because a lot of times, most of our thoughts are, about 95% of our thoughts are subconscious, and most of those are the same thoughts we had the day before. And so our brain, actually, I tell people, meditation, breathing, those types of things are like taking your brain to the gym. And because we're constantly focused on something, we have those inner dialogues going on all the time. So you're feeling a lot of anxiety, then notice what you are thinking about. Notice what you're watching and paying attention to. For me, if I get on social media and I'm seeing a lot of posts about what's currently happening, and I start to feel anxious, then I know that that's something I have to avoid for myself. And so that's what I do. If I get on Facebook or something like that, I scroll past anything that has to do with things that I know cause anxiety for me. And maybe, like I said, it's finding something that makes you laugh. I have a favorite comedian that I really love. She's really funny. And I will turn her on when I know I need to laugh. Or I have different old TV shows that I'll pull up on Netflix to sit and laugh for 30 minutes. That can really shift everything in your body significantly. Maybe it's prayer for you. It's sitting down and pray. Maybe it's journaling or going outside and going for a walk. Being in nature is so important, especially if you are fortunate enough to have maybe a big yard where you can get barefoot on the grass and just take that time, that grounding that we experience when we walk barefoot on the earth. That's such a great way to help bring calm and peace to our body. And just sitting, like Greg was saying, and watching the birds and listening, making those, time outs for yourself to really take care of yourself. Because if you are not healthy and vibrant and happy and full of joy and peace, then it's going to be very difficult for you to do what you have to do day in and day out. And you can change that energy in the house by creating these environments where there is laughter and joy, and just focusing on the things that we want to experience in our lives instead of focusing, typically it's just human nature. We focus on what we don't want. We focus on the fear. We focus on the anxiety. We focus on the things we're worried about. That's kind of human nature. And so we really do have to make a point to focus on what we want. And doing that, you have to know what you want. Do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel healthy? So focus on those things that you want to experience, and then do the things that help you to feel that. And then there's another great technique. This is something you can actually, if you have access to the internet, you can, if you go like to YouTube, you can type in EFT, or emotional freedom technique. And you can actually type in for fear, like EFT for fear, EFT for anxiety. There's lots of great videos out there where someone will walk you through this process, and it's an amazing process that came out in the 1980s. And it basically is, you've probably seen it maybe on a TV show or something, where people are tapping their forehead or the side of their face or the top of their head. And this is based on the acupressure points from Chinese medicine. It's a great way to help calm the brain. And I know Greg can speak more about this because he does a technique called EMDR, which is similar in a way, but you do have to do that with a therapist. But EFT is something that you can just do along with someone online, where people are teaching you how to tap and what to say. This is so great for helping with anxiety and stress. And I've used it for multiple things. I've used it personally and professionally. And it's just something that's available out there for free that you can learn how to do at home. And it's even something that you can do with your caregiver. You can even do the tapping for them. I actually had a dog trainer that came to me years ago, and he had high anxiety, and he was having a panic attack in my office, literally was just about to lose his mind. And I taught him this technique. It took us about 5 or 10 minutes, and his anxiety diminished significantly. And he was like, I'm a dog trainer. I wonder if this works on dogs. I have highly anxious dogs. And I was like, yeah, you should definitely try it. And he did. And he would tap, the dogs and kind of do that for and he said it worked amazing. So this is something that you could do if you have someone you're taking care of that maybe isn't able to do this, that you could even do this for them. It might help to calm and bring them some relief from their anxiety. So those are just couple of things. And Greg, you might be able to talk more about that, since you do similar. EMDR works kind of similar in the brain. I don't know if you want to kind of piggyback on what I said about EFT.
Yeah, I'll touch on I'll touch on a couple of things that we do as part of our therapy that might be helpful for you guys. And then I'll see, Jennifer, if it's a good time, we'll open it up for some Q&A. So what Dr. Shew was just mentioning is there's one therapeutic modality that I use that's called EMDR. It stands for Eye Movement Desensitization Reprocessing. And if any of you are really struggle to with recovering from past trauma, and that could include those of you who are caregivers for family members that you love, you may have some traumatic memories that are attached to your family member in the past going through health issues, maybe heart attacks or strokes, or the onset of dementia, and you have a lot of really emotionally charged memories that are keeping you triggered in the present because of those past memories. This EMDR modality is just a phenomenal and very brief therapy that can, in 5 or 6, 7 sessions, accomplish lifelong change. It doesn't take memories away, but it takes the emotional connection with past memories away. Oftentimes 100%, but if not, at least a very significant percentage of that emotional connection is diminished. Another thing that I wanted to mention is just we're all consciously, but always unconsciously, we are hardwired to try to maintain a sense of connection, especially an emotional connection with what's familiar. So we're all drawn to recreating the past and capturing and maintaining what's familiar. And that can be it can sound really counterintuitive, but the unconscious tries to maintain a connection with the past, even when the past is undesirable. And so that's just a human tendency to be drawn toward maintaining what's familiar. And so for those of you who maybe, again, have, let's take this crisis that we're in right now, where everybody is looking at the present and the future saying, I do not know what the future is going to look like, but I think we're all pretty sure the future is going to look a little different than we had imagined. And that provokes a lot of anxiety in human beings because, again, we want things to be the same. I mean, I'm in Tuscaloosa. Can you imagine the panic attacks that are going to happen if we don't have Alabama football in a few months? Can you imagine the normal social ways that we connect with each other, hugs, kisses on the cheek, handshakes? What if those things go away for a while or maybe even permanently, and we give way to new ways of acknowledging each other's presence and honoring each other? These kinds of changes are really hard to make. And one way that I want to invite you all to consider some of these things that we're talking about that could benefit you. Change is inevitable, and whether it's this coronavirus crisis or whether it's the transition from loved ones being healthy and whole to being in some ways to suffering, or to you experiencing them in a diminished way, we cannot hold on to the past and keep everything the same. It's just part of life, and learning to roll with the punches and imagine new ways of being is part of all of our struggle, especially in times like this. And so, drawn from a lot of existential psychotherapeutic model, I part of where I take people with that transition to new ways of being is asking questions like, how do you face your fears? What are you afraid of? How can you take risks and accept responsibility for the changes that are already in place in your life? How are you avoiding change? Those are some existentialist questions that I really like to bring into the counseling office. And last but not least is for any of you who are, because you're overworked, because you're not having time to rest and sleep, because you're in that fight or flight state, because there's a lot of grief and sadness and worry about the person you're caring for, I would strongly, strongly recommend that you look into what we call microcurrent neurofeedback. I practice that in Tuscaloosa. We have an office in Huntsville. Dr. Shew has an office in Nashville. And now we're all shut down temporarily, hopefully. But there are also other people that offer it in the Birmingham area. It is the most exciting thing I've ever been a part of. It brings about amazing change very quickly. And the essence of it is it helps bring you from that fight or flight, sympathetic reactivity. It trains your brain in a matter of just a few sessions to come back to and over time remain in that parasympathetic calm. So instead of being reactive, you're calm and responsive. Sometimes I use the phrase, it helps you go from being stressed out to chilled out. Hope you'll consider looking into that in the future if that sounds like it might fit some of your needs. And I'll throw out a few things that I hear, and then see if Dr. Shew has anything to add. One thing I hear is, number one, I would encourage you to have that. There's a great King James Version word from the Bible called long suffering that we've lost in our English usage, but you should be have incredible grace and long suffering for yourself, because what you're going through is gonna bring out some short temper and some reactivity in anybody. And you know, you want to work on ways to manage that and mitigate that. But at the same time, the first thing I hear that I want to encourage you to do is just to have grace for yourself and understand that you're a human being and you're struggling in ways that anybody else would in your circumstances. Second thing I was going to say is it sounds like you're trying to do some of what we started out the conversation with, and that is making sure you take care of yourself and create some you time, and is one of those times when you just get your batteries recharged. And so I don't know if you feel selfish or guilty when you do those things, but I would encourage you to see that self-care as being a necessary part of your caring for your husband. Dr. Shew, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just like to piggyback on that. I think finding things for yourself that bring you joy in the midst of this is going to be so great for you, because it, as we talk about the body raising our energy, our mood, and because that will allow you to have more to give to your husband, but making sure that you're doing things that bring you joy during this. And if teaching is one of them, then find ways to use that. There is, if you have access to internet, there's a place called OutSchool, OUT, OutSchool, and they actually allow people to teach online, and you could maybe apply there to do a class maybe once a week. You can teach to children. They're especially busy right now because so many people are being homeschooled and schooled from home, and they're looking for different classes. Or maybe it's you might have to get someone to kind of help you with this if you're not familiar with Zoom like we're using here today, but you can even get on that and invite friends. And maybe if you know how to teach certain things like knitting, or teaching someone how to paint, or whatever it is that you want to teach, and just start with bringing in friends that can watch you and be part of that. Just something that if that brings you joy and it helps you to kind of distract you from things that are stressful in your life, then I would just encourage you to find ways that you can use that, and because that is going to definitely feed your soul and your spirit and bring you joy.
And again, we have with us today Rebecca Walden, who's our Alabama Cares Program Coordinator, Krista Whitehead, who is a huge partner in that Alabama Cares Program. She's our caregiver interventionist. Jennifer Fuller and myself. Jennifer is the Community Living Project Director, and I'm the project coordinator, but we both run the new Panda Project that we just spoke about. Just wanted to let you guys know the name M4A actually comes from the Middle Alabama Area Agency on Aging, but as you can tell, it's much easier just to say M4A versus that long name. So who we are, we operate in all 67 counties in Alabama. We're one of 13 area agencies on aging for the state, and we actually have services similar to ours all across the state of Alabama, and it is set up to where we have similar funding streams, so it's, we offer the same services across the state of Alabama. So if you have someone that lives in a neighboring county that we do not cover, then we should be able to be able to assist them with one of our sister agencies. Okay, this here is this is our mission statement. M4A's mission is to empower individuals. Excuse me, I'm hearing a lot of background noise. I'm not real sure who it's coming from, so I'm going to mute everybody real quick. M4A's mission is to empower individuals, people living with disabilities, and their caregivers to self-advocate as well as live independently and safely in the communities of their choice. our agency's motto is simply assisting all ages at all stages. The counties that we cover Blount County, Chilton County, St. Clair County, Shelby County, and Walker. Those are basically the counties that, in a sense, surround Jefferson County. But we do cover Jefferson County for one of our programs, which is our senior employment program. So but that's the only county that we cover for just that program only. The way it works for M4A is typically when we have individuals who call our agency, they get put on a list for us to contact back to do what we call a full benefit screening through our Aging and Disability Resource Center. Those staff members are very well versed in the community resources, and they're very, very good at kind of feeding off of the callers to see what services they might be eligible for, the services they might benefit from, even though that might not be the initial reason for that person's call. You might have someone who might call for meal or for nutrition program, but they may walk away with assistance with home modification, medication assistance, caregiver supportive services, and even services that are outside of our agency, like local food banks, services through like the VA office, and et cetera. So it's kind of our one-stop shop that we have everyone come through to be able to learn more about the services that are available in their area. These are some of our key programs that are offered statewide. Of course, like I mentioned, our nutrition program, our caregiver support program, medication assistance program. We have Medicare, Medicaid counseling services that help choose the plan that best fits your situation. Again, the senior employment program. We have a partnership with a legal assistance through an elder law attorney that is able to do advanced directives, powers of attorney, wills, those sorts of things. We also have elder abuse prevention programs that we have in place, presentations and workshops that we host, as well as our two big programs, our long-term care support services through our Medicaid waiver home and community-based services program and our ombudsman program, which is actually the individual who is kind of the middleman for individuals that are in a nursing facility and their families and the institution itself. So I'm going to open it up to Jennifer to let her talk about the Panda Project and how excited we are to get this started. Jennifer, you should be live now.
Hello. So the Panda Project, like I said earlier, is providing Alzheimer's and dementia assistance. This is a 3-year grant that we received from the Administration for Community Living, and we are planning to go into people's homes. We'll do assessments. We'll have both the client is going to be both the person with dementia as well as their caregiver, their loved one taking care of them, because we really want to nurture the caregiver as well, because if you as the caregiver are doing well, then you'll be more successful in taking care of that loved one. So that is a huge part of our project, is to take care of the caregivers as well. We are going to be providing services in homes such as homemaker, unskilled respite, small home modifications, and we have AI developed remote technology to monitor people. We are partnering with the city of Pelham, and they are starting a Pelham community paramedic program. So if you live within the city of Pelham, we'll have that in addition to all of our other services. We are working with Jan Neal Law Firm, who's going to help with providing some legal assistance. We will also be opening a new adult respite center in Shelby County. Hopefully sometime the end of this year, we'll be opening that. And then the following year, we'll open a second one as well. I feel like I'm forgetting something, Jeremy, so feel free to jump in if you think of something I'm forgetting.
You did say did you say Care Predict? I'm sorry, I might have missed that if you said it.
I did, I just didn't name it. That remote technology is a company called Care Predict. We had been hoping to start our services in April, but because of everything going on, tentatively we're hoping to start in May, and that'll be a wait and see kind of thing with what's going on in the country right now.
And what we'll probably do with that, if we're not able to actually do the launch, like I know I had spoke with a lot of individuals and Jennifer as well over the last couple of days regarding our kickoff event that we had at the Pelham Civic Complex that we had planned for early April. Unfortunately, with the pandemic going on, we had to cancel that, of course. So we're still looking at options to maybe even do a launch off of Zoom. So that's a potential for the future. Again, just follow us on social media, or of course contact any of our staff members, and we should be able to let you know that. Jennifer, if you're done with Panda, I'll go ahead and pass it on to our Alabama Cares team to see if they can briefly go over what the CARES program can provide potentially in collaboration with our services. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. And Crystal and Rebecca, I'm going to be unmuting you guys now if you care to dive off into the world of Alabama Cares.
Well, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me pretty good? I'm assuming.
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Okay, good. So my name is Rebecca Walden, and I'm the Alabama Cares Coordinator for M4A, and that is actually our Older Americans Act services for caregivers. Our primary focus is education. We send out newsletters. We have educational events within the community. We do fun things like this webinar that we're testing out. And beyond that, we can help with unskilled respite, and then also supplies such as incontinence supplies, so pull-ups, diapers, Boost, and Ensure nutritional drinks if that's necessary in the home. And the main clients that we serve to be eligible for our program is the caregiver just has to be over the age of 18, providing 20 hours of care per week in the home, and their loved one either has to have a dementia-related diagnosis or they have to be over the age of 60 with an advanced condition. So that really is a little bit about Alabama Cares. And then I'll let Crystal Whitehead, our caregiver interventionist, kind of tell a little bit more about the different additional educational opportunities that we provide through Alabama Cares.
Okay, so as far as additional educational opportunities, I have been tasked with helping support caregivers in on an individual basis through interventions related to improving skills and knowledge if they're new to the dementia care journey, as well as we have the ability, pending interest, to do group support through a curriculum called Active Caregiver Empowerment Skills, which does a lot with stress management and behavior management for specifically individuals with dementia, but it does contribute very well to any caregiver if they're facing issues with getting their loved one on board with receiving help when they're maybe not necessarily ready for that. So we also have the lending library, which, depending on how long we stay plugged in to this whole pandemic situation, might become very helpful for you guys. So since we're not able to be out in the community with you guys right now, we do have a whole host of books that we can mail out to everyone. It'll function just like your regular library functions. So you'll let us know. We can send you out a list of the titles so that you can choose one or two that you like, and then we'll get them out to you in the mail. And then when you're done, hopefully by the time you're done reading a book, we'll be done with the pandemic. But in the event that you're not, we can make arrangements to have those picked up through the mail. So yeah, it's an interesting situation. One of the most exciting things for me, though, is we have an online educational component called True Alta. And what that does, if you're familiar with dementia, I'm pretty sure you've probably heard about Teepa Snow. So that's one of the things that I'm really excited about. Like, she is the guru for dementia care. And True Alta has actually had the ability to do some videos with Teepa Snow, but they also provide overviews for education of the dementia process, just different tips and tricks for getting information to you at the time when you need it, because it's all online and you can log in at any time. And they also have, if you're familiar with music and memory, they have country, jazz, and vocal standards from the 40s and 50s that have been shown to provide calming benefits for your loved ones with dementia, just because the music brings about positive recall for positive times, even with those with dementia. So it's really a neat program. Rebecca and I are very excited about that. And if you're interested, all you have to do is email or call Rebecca or myself, and we can get you signed up on that one. So that's not a problem, and we can do that without having to actually have home visits and all of that stuff. So that's ready made for you. And then also on that, we do have a monthly support group meeting that we're going to be hosting via Zoom. And our rollout for that is actually tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So we are, you'll have two opportunities. Now, we won't be privileged in the support group tomorrow to have the super professionals like Dr. Shew and I all of a sudden forgot Greg's last name, and Greg to join us, but you will have Rebecca and I available, and it'll be more of a traditional informal support group. We'll just do it over the Zoom format since we can't be together right now. Am I missing anything, Rebecca, or did I hit on everything?
I think that's about it.
All right.
Yeah, I think that was.
I can talk for 30 minutes on that one.
Yeah, I think that's great information, Crystal and Rebecca. I mean, this is an excellent opportunity. Zoom in general is an excellent opportunity for being able to connect those caregivers who have otherwise been unable to come. We host during normal conditions. We host a support group through our Alabama Cares program each month at our office. We do have some support with that from the community, but we do believe that it would be a lot easier if we open that opportunity up to those that might be able to meet with us through technology. So we have it, we might as well use it, and we think that's an excellent opportunity. So if you want to know more about that opportunity, feel free to email Rebecca or Crystal. Their emails are rwalden, RWALDEN @4, and Crystal's is cwhitehead, WHITEHEAD @m4a.org. That would be an excellent opportunity for you to get involved and not only help yourself potentially, but help others that are in a similar situation. So really exciting times for our staff and in the future for us and our programs. I just wanted to briefly go over, especially for those that were unable to join us live for this meeting, but if you've requested to have this information sent to you, just wanted to go over a new option that we have on our website. You can actually, instead, traditionally you had to call into our agency to, like I said, get on a list to be able to get called back to do a full benefits screening. But you can actually do that now at your leisure, at your own time of the day, whenever it's convenient for you. You can actually go to www.m4a.org/referral, and this option here, you can click Make a Referral, and it will actually walk you through the steps that you would be doing via the telephone, so you can actually fill out the information about a referral for an individual who you might be calling for yourself. You may be calling for a loved one or a family friend. It could be a neighbor, whoever, and that will actually get to us the same way that the phone call would get to us. So feel free to use that option. It is an amazing piece that we've started to use, and we found that it's been beneficial for a lot of individuals and a lot of professionals. So, again, please follow us on social media. We're on all the big ones, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're getting more active with our Instagram. Still getting somewhat used to tweeting a lot, but we're especially active on our Facebook page. And you can find that if you just search Middle Alabama Area Agency on Aging on Facebook. You will find our Facebook page has our logo as the profile picture, so it should be pretty easy to identify us. As well as we have a Panda Project Facebook page, so we post different things on that page as well, including our coffee break event but the two are constantly sharing information from one another. So feel free to follow both and share with your friends or individuals in similar situations that you think might benefit from our services. Here is our contact information for those that are unable to see the screen. It is 209 Cloverdale Circle, Alabaster, Alabama is where we are located. And our mailing address is P.O. Drawer 618, Saginaw, Alabama 35137. Our physical address is, like I said, 209. I don't think I mentioned the zip code, but it's 209 Cloverdale Circle, Alabaster, Alabama 35007. And our mailing address is P.O. Drawer 618, Saginaw, Alabama 35137. Our office number is 205, the area code 670-5770. We also have a toll-free number, 1-866-570-2998. And our fax number is 205-670-5750. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us. I mentioned Crystal and Rebecca's emails earlier. Myself, my email address is jraines, JRAINES @m4a.org. And Jennifer Fuller's is jfuller, JFULLER @m4a.org. Again, Rebecca Walden's is rwalden@m4a.org. That's WALDEN. And Crystal Whitehead's is CWhitehead, WHITEHEAD @m4a.org. Feel free to reach out to any of us. And if it's something that doesn't pertain to maybe our program or our clients, we can certainly get you in contact with the staff member that best handles your situation. So I'm going to unmute everybody, and if there are any more concerns or questions or comments you'd like to make, feel free to do so. If not, we're going to close this video out, and we really, really appreciate those that met with us live, as well as those that are watching this at a later date. This has been, in my opinion, and I'm sure our staff members can agree, this has been a phenomenal way to get information and get some help techniques and tips and tricks to maybe help improve everyone's quality of life. I know I personally took a lot of information down, and I'll be re-listening to this to hopefully get some of those that I did not catch. So I will unmute everybody now. Feel free to answer or have any concerns or any questions that you'd like to ask everyone. If not, we will close this out. All right, thanks everybody. We really appreciate your support with this program, and we hope that you will join us next time. Like I said, we will post that on our social media accounts, and we will make sure that we get the word out as best as we can through our email list as well as our social media to try and get as many folks as we can on the next call. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.